Lena Turner walked home just after sunrise, her feet dragging after a long 12-hour night shift at the hospital. All she wanted was to take off her scrubs, shower, and sleep for a few hours. Her eyes were heavy, her shoulders aching, but she felt a small relief knowing she was finally home. She reached the apartment door and pushed her key into the lock. She tried turning it, but it didn't move. She frowned, tried again, then harder. Still nothing. For a moment she thought maybe she was just too tired. Or maybe the lock was stuck. She took a slow breath, hoping it was a small mistake. Lena knocked softly. "Mom, it's me." No answer. She knocked again, louder this time. Her heart began to beat faster. Something felt wrong. Before she could knock again, the door suddenly swung open. Her mother, Marcia, stood there with a stiff, hard expression on her face. Her eyes were cold, filled with anger that made Lena's stomach twist. Lena opened her mouth to speak, but Marcia didn't give her the chance. A duffel bag came flying out the door and landed at Lena's feet. Then a large trash bag full of clothes followed. The sound echoed down the hallway. Lena froze. The cool morning air hit her face, but the heat of humiliation burned even stronger. She looked down at her scrubs, still stained from her shift, and felt every part of her chest tighten. Across the hall, a neighbor quietly pulled their curtain aside. Another door creaked open a little. People were watching. "Mom, what are you doing?" Lena whispered, her voice shaky. Marcia's jaw tightened. "I won't tolerate lies in my house," she snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut. Lena blinked in confusion. "Lies? What lies? I don't understand." But Marcia didn't listen. Her eyes were full of hurt and fury, but none of it made sense to Lena. "I'm done with your betrayal," Marcia spat. Lena felt the world tilt for a moment. Betrayal? She had no idea what Marcia was talking about. She had come straight from a night shift. She paid the bills. She took care of everyone. What betrayal? Before Lena could say another word, Marcia stepped back inside and slammed the door so hard the frame shook. Silence. The hallway felt painfully bright now. Lena stood outside with her bags scattered around her feet, her heartbeat thudding in her ears. She swallowed hard, trying not to cry, trying not to fall apart in front of the people watching. She was locked out of her own home, and she had no idea why. She works night shifts to help cover rent and bills for her mother and younger brother. Almost every month it feels like Lena's paycheck disappears before she can even think about herself. She pays for groceries, keeps the lights on, sometimes even pays for Derek's school supplies or phone bill. Everyone depends on her, and she never complains, at least, not out loud. During the day, she tries to rest, but real sleep is rare. The house is loud, and her mother always seems to need something. Marcia, her mother, is unpredictable. One moment she's soft and loving, the next she's angry or crying over small things. Lena has spent most of her life carefully watching her mother's moods, trying not to upset her. It feels less like being a daughter and more like walking on thin ice. Growing up, Lena took on responsibilities long before she should have. When she was just 12, she cooked for Derek. At 14, she learned how to stretch a small grocery budget. By 16, she was the one reminding her mom to pay bills. She became the adult in the house because someone had to. Meanwhile, Derek, the younger brother, lived a completely different life. He was the golden child. Always praised, always defended. If he broke something, it was just an accident. If he failed a class, the teacher was blamed. If he snapped at Lena, Marcia would say, "Don't be so hard on him. He's still young." But Lena wasn't allowed to be young. She wasn't allowed to make mistakes. Any slip from her became a lecture, a guilt trip, or silent treatment. Still she stayed. She stayed because she didn't want her family to fall apart. She stayed because she believed things might get better. And she stayed because Marcia always found a way to make her feel guilty for even thinking about leaving. Whenever Lena mentioned moving out someday, Marcia would say things like, "So you want to abandon us? After everything I've done for you? Who will help with the bills if you go?" Every time, Lena swallowed her dreams and stayed quiet. Her life became a cycle of exhaustion. 12-hour shifts at the ER, then coming home to cook, clean, and listen to her mother's complaints. She barely had time for friends. She couldn't remember the last time she went somewhere just for fun. Even on her days off, there was always something the family needed from her. Sometimes, late at night before leaving for work, Lena would pause at her bedroom door, and imagine what life could be like if she lived alone. A small, quiet place. A bed she could sleep in without someone waking her up. Bills that reflected only her own needs. A life where no one took advantage of her kindness. But the thought always made her feel guilty. She worried about Derek. She worried about her mom. She worried that leaving would make her look selfish. Still, something inside her had started to change. The exhaustion was becoming too heavy. The pressure too constant. Her mother's demands were growing. Derek was taking more and more from her without even saying thank you. The tension inside Lena kept building slowly, silently. She loved her family, but she could feel her spirit getting smaller and smaller. She wanted freedom, just a little taste of it. But her loyalty kept tying her down. And deep inside, Lena feared that if she ever dared to choose herself, her family would punish her for it. After being locked out, Lena stood in the hallway for several minutes, her bags on the floor and her heart pounding. She kept hoping this was some kind of mistake, that maybe her mother would calm down and open the door. Finally, she knocked again, softly, because she didn't want the neighbors to hear more than they already had. "Mom, please. Just talk to me," she said. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the door opened just an inch. Marcia's face appeared in the gap, her eyes sharp and full of anger. "What do you want now?" her mother asked. Lena swallowed hard. "Can you tell me why you locked me out? What did I do?" Marcia let out a bitter laugh. "Don't act innocent. I found proof, Lena. Proof that you were planning to abandon us." Lena felt her breath catch. "Abandon you? What are you talking about?" Marcia pushed the door only a little wider, just enough for Lena to see inside, but not enough to enter. Behind her, Derek stood with his arms crossed, leaning on the wall like he was watching something entertaining. He didn't look shocked. He didn't look confused. He looked satisfied. Marcia lifted a piece of paper, waving it slightly. I found this in your drawer." Lena squinted, trying to understand. "What is it?" "It's a letter," Marcia said sharply. "A letter from that hospital in North Carolina, saying they're considering you for a higher position. A promotion. A whole new job." Her voice cracked with emotion. "You were going to leave us, weren't you?" Lena blinked in disbelief. "Mom, it was just an application. I never even replied. They just sent information. I wasn't planning anything." But Marcia shook her head quickly, refusing to believe her. "Don't lie to me. You were going to run off and leave me and your brother alone. After everything we gave you." Lena felt a deep, painful twist in her chest. "I wasn't leaving. I didn't even make a decision yet." Derek scoffed loudly from behind their mother. "Yeah, right." Lena looked at him, searching his face for some small sign of support, but all she saw was a smug, almost proud expression, as if he enjoyed watching her suffer. And in that moment, something clicked inside Lena. This wasn't a sudden outburst from her mother. This wasn't something that happened in the heat of the moment. Marcia had planned this. She had gone through Lena's things. She had filled those bags. She had waited for Lena to come home. Derek had known. Maybe he was the one who told her. Maybe he was the one who found the letter first. Lena felt a wave of hurt wash over her. "Mom, you didn't even ask me," she whispered. "You didn't ask what the letter meant. You just assumed the worst." Marcia didn't soften. "I won't keep someone in my house who lies to me. I won't be treated like a fool." Lena stepped closer, her voice trembling. "I've worked night shifts for years. I've paid bills, I've helped this family, and I've never asked for anything. Why would I betray you?" Marcia pressed her lips tightly together. "You were planning to leave. That's all I need to know." The door began to close. Lena's heart dropped. She reached out instinctively, but she stopped herself before touching the door. Fighting to get inside wouldn't change what they had already decided. Her mother didn't trust her. Derek enjoyed seeing her thrown out, and neither of them cared how hard she had worked for them all these years. As the door clicked shut again, Lena stood still in the hallway. Now she had to make a choice: beg to be let back in, or walk away from the place that had never really felt like home. Lena tries to gather whatever belongings she can from the hallway. Her hands shake as she picks up the duffel bag, and the trash bag her mother threw out. Clothes spill out onto the floor, and she bends down to stuff them back in, trying her best not to cry. She just wants to get her things and leave quietly. But the moment she reaches for a small box that had rolled near the door, Marcia suddenly opens it again. She stands in the doorway like a guard. Not that, Marcia snaps, pulling the box away with a sharp movement. Lena blinks in confusion. Mom, that's mine. It has my documents. You think you deserve those? Marcia cuts her off. After everything you hid from us? You don't get to walk away with valuables. Lena's mouth falls open. I didn't hide anything. And these aren't valuables, they're just my papers. Marcia steps forward, pointing a finger at her. Ungrateful girl. After all these years of living under my roof, this is how you repay me? By planning to run away. Before Lena can answer, Derek appears behind their mother. He leans against the doorway with folded arms, pretending to look hurt. Wow, Lena, he says in a mocking voice. You could have at least said goodbye before leaving us. Lena feels her chest tighten. I wasn't leaving. It was just a letter. What a liar. Derek mutters loud enough for the neighbors to hear. Lena hears whispers from down the hall. Someone's door opens a crack. Another person stands on their balcony. Everyone is watching the family drama unfold like it's a show. Lena suddenly feels small and exposed. Her face burns with embarrassment. She gathers her 2 bags close to her body. She tries to stay calm, but her voice shakes. Can I please take my box? It has my passport, my certificates, my... No, Marcia says firmly, pulling the door closer. I'll decide what you get after you prove you're not lying. Derek smirks. Maybe she shouldn't get anything. She's abandoning us anyway. Lena's jaw tightens. You know that's not true. But Derek lifts a hand. Whatever. You were always the dramatic one. Every word feels like another slap. Every look from her neighbors feels like another wound. Finally, Lena realizes she won't get anything else from them. Not her papers. Not her belongings. Not even a bit of understanding. She turns away, holding back tears, and walks down the stairs with just 2 bags. Her legs feel weak. She can barely see through her blurry vision. She reaches her car in the parking lot, throws the bags on the back seat, and sits behind the steering wheel. She takes a deep breath, then another. And finally the tears fall. She cries until her chest hurts. All the years of working extra shifts. All the nights she came home tired but still cooked for the family. All the bills she paid quietly. All the sacrifices she made without asking for anything in return. They come crashing back like waves. Her mind drifts into painful flashbacks. The time she used her whole paycheck to catch up on rent while her mother spent her money on a new phone. The time she paid for Derek's school uniform because he forgot to tell Marcia he needed one. The month she worked double shifts to pay for groceries so her family wouldn't go hungry. All the moments she tried to talk about moving out, only to be guilt, blamed, or yelled at. She realizes she has spent years being treated like the problem, even when she was the one solving everything. As she wipes her face, something clicks in her mind. She thinks back to the letter, the promotion letter. How did Marcia find it? She kept it in her drawer. She never showed it to anyone. Then she thinks of Derek's smug face, the way he acted like he already knew everything. And the truth finally becomes clear. Derek must have found the letter first. He must have told Marcia about it. But he twisted it, turned it into something ugly. He must have said Lena already accepted the job and planned to sneak out and leave them. Why? Lena remembers the money she was saving. Quietly, slowly, she had managed to save a few $1,000s for emergencies, or eventually for moving out. Derek had asked her for some of it before, but she said no. Marcia once hinted that Lena should share her savings since they were all family. Now Lena understands. By making Marcia furious, by painting Lena as someone planning to leave, Derek made sure her mother would take control. If Lena looked like she was abandoning them, then Marcia would feel justified in keeping her things, her documents, maybe even her savings. He wanted access to her money. He wanted Lena out of the way. The betrayal digs deep into Lena's chest, not just because of what they did today, but because of the years she spent taking care of them, never thinking they would use her like this. But the pain slowly turns into something stronger. Not anger, not hatred, but a rising determination. For the first time in her life, Lena feels a spark inside her, small but powerful. She wipes her tears, grabs her phone, and looks up at the apartment building with a steady breath. They took advantage of her kindness for years. They tried to trap her with guilt. Now they've thrown her out with lies. Lena feels something she hasn't felt in a long time. The desire to stand up for herself. The desire to reclaim her voice. The desire to stop shrinking. The desire to fight back. Lena returns to the apartment to demand the truth. She doesn't care anymore about who hears or what the neighbors think. She is tired, hurt, and finally ready to face what has been happening for years. When she reaches the hallway, she sees Derek stepping out of the apartment with a bag of chips in his hand, acting as if nothing is wrong. He looks up, surprised to see her. Lena walks straight toward him. "Derek, we need to talk," she says, her voice calm but steady. He rolls his eyes. "What now? Haven't you made enough drama for one day?" Lena steps closer, blocking his path. "No. Not until you tell me the truth. Why did you lie about the letter?" Derek freezes for just a second, then forces a laugh. "What are you talking about? You found the promotion letter," Lena says firmly. "You showed it to Mom. And you told her I was leaving. Sneaking out. Why?" Derek shifts uncomfortably. For the first time, his confidence slips. "Mom told you that." "She told me enough," Lena says. "But I want to hear it from you." Derek tries to walk past her, but Lena steps in front of him again. Her eyes don't move. Her jaw is set. This time he can't avoid her. "Tell me why," she says quietly. "Why did you do it?" Derek's mouth opens and closes like he's trying to find a good lie. But there isn't one. Lena doesn't look angry. She looks tired and done. And that scares him more than shouting ever would. Finally, he mutters, Because you were going to leave." Lena blinks. "I never said that. You were thinking about it," he snaps. "You were going to leave me here alone with her. You know how she gets. You know how she treats me. You always protected me, and I didn't want to lose that." Lena's heart aches at those words, but she stays silent. Derek continues, his voice rising with frustration. "You're the one who has everything together. You have a job, money, a plan. I don't. If you left, who would I have?" Lena whispers, "So you lied?" He hesitates, then nods. "And the savings?" she asks softly. His eyes flicker with guilt. "Mom said you were hiding money." I wanted her to take charge of it before you ran off. I needed some of it too. You know that." Lena feels the floor tilt for a moment. "So that's what this was really about. My savings." Derek finally looks ashamed. I don't have anything. And you have so much. I didn't think you'd even notice if some was gone." Lena steps back, her breath shaky. She knew he could be selfish, but she never thought he would betray her like this. Then suddenly she hears a sound. A small gasp. She turns. Marcia stands at the end of the hallway, frozen in place. She must have heard every word. Her face is pale, her eyes wide. She looks at Derek, then at Lena, as if seeing them both clearly for the first time. "Derek," Marcia whispers. "Is that true?" Derek stiffens. "Mom, don't listen to her." "Is it true?" she repeats, louder this time. He stays silent, and that silence is the answer. Marcia looks shocked, then confused, then guilty. It's like she suddenly realizes the damage her favoritism has caused. She looks at Lena with trembling eyes. I didn't know," she says softly. "Lena, I thought you were leaving us. I thought you didn't care." Lena shakes her head slowly. "I cared too much. That's the problem." Marcia steps forward. "Lena, please come inside. Let's talk. We can fix this. You don't have to go." But Lena feels something different now. Power. Clarity. Freedom. For the first time, she sees the whole picture. All the years she spent carrying this family. All the guilt placed on her shoulders. All the manipulation. All the pain. She finally understands she was never the problem. Lena holds up a hand. "No, Mom." Marcia stops. Lena's voice shakes, but she stands firm. "I'm not coming inside. Not this time. I've done everything for this family, and look how easily you threw me out. I can't go back to that." Marcia's eyes fill with tears. "Lena, please." "No," Lena says again, stronger this time. "I choose myself." Derek lowers his head. Marcia reaches out as if to touch Lena's arm, but Lena steps back. She gives them both one last look. Not angry, not bitter. Just done. Then she turns around and walks away, her step steady, her heart breaking but finally free. Lena rents a small, worn-out studio, but to her surprise, She feels lighter the moment she steps inside. The paint on the walls is chipped, the floor creaks when she walks, and the kitchen is barely big enough for one person. But it is quiet. It is hers. There is no shouting, no judgment, no guilt waiting for her the moment she comes home. For the first time in her life, Lena feels free. She places her 2 bags on the floor and sits on the old mattress the landlord left behind. It isn't comfortable, but she smiles anyway. She finally has space to breathe. The next week, Lena makes a decision she had been scared of for years. She starts therapy. At first, she feels nervous. She doesn't know how to explain everything. How she spent her entire life walking on eggshells around her mother. How she always felt responsible for her brother. How she learned to hide her own needs because her family didn't want to hear them. But her therapist listens patiently. She helps Lena understand that what she went through wasn't normal or healthy. The constant guilt, the manipulation, the pressure. None of it was love. Little by little, Lena begins to unpack her past. She learns why she always felt she had to fix everything. She learns how to set boundaries. And slowly, she starts to heal. At work, Lena feels different too. She still works hard. She always has. But now she isn't dragging her family problems behind her like a heavy chain. She smiles more. She has energy. She speaks up during meetings. Her coworkers notice the change and ask what happened. But Lena just says, "I'm taking care of myself now." A few weeks later, Lena receives an email from the hospital administration. Her heart races as she opens it. The promotion is official. She didn't imagine it. She didn't misunderstand it. She actually earned it, fair and square. They want her to relocate to the hospital's branch in North Carolina. A real, respected position. A fresh start. Lena sits on her small bed and reads the message 3 times. Instead of fear, she feels excitement. She thinks about her new life, new apartment, new job, new city. A place where she won't be defined by her family's drama. A place where she can finally grow. She looks around the tiny studio. It's not perfect, but it helped her take her first step. And now she's ready for the next one. She starts planning her move. She saves money wisely, keeping everything in her own account this time. She looks for affordable apartments in the new city. She tells her boss she is ready for the transfer. For the first time in her life, Lena chooses herself. And she feels no guilt. She doesn't send money home anymore. She doesn't pick up every call from Marcia or Derek. She doesn't rush to fix their problems. She sets firm boundaries. When her mother sends long messages filled with guilt and excuses, Lena replies briefly and calmly, or not at all. She refuses to be pulled back into the same hurt. Some days are hard. Some nights she still feels the sting of betrayal. But every morning she wakes up alone in her little studio. She feels stronger. She cooks her own meals. She listens to music without someone yelling in the background. She focuses on her dreams, not her family's demands. With each week, the freedom in her chest grows. As her moving date gets closer, Lena packs her things with a soft smile. She used to believe she owed her family everything. Now she understands she owes herself something too. Peace. She glances at her reflection in the dusty mirror on the wall. For the first time, she sees a woman who survived years of emotional weight and is boldly stepping into a new life, carrying only what belongs to her. She feels proud, steady, ready. Lena Turner is no longer shrinking to fit into someone else's idea of family. She is choosing her own future. And that choice has finally set her free. She reads it slowly, then turns her phone off. The message from her mother is short, confused, and almost apologetic. It doesn't make up for years of hurt, manipulation, and lies, but Lena doesn't feel the need to reply. She doesn't need permission, forgiveness, or approval anymore. She sits on her bed for a moment, letting the silence fill the room. The sunlight streams through the small window, warming her face. She takes a deep breath and thinks about everything she's been through. The long night shifts, the endless responsibilities, the guilt, the betrayals. She remembers how it felt to be pushed aside, judged, and blamed for things she never did. And then she realizes something. Some families only love you when you shrink, when you hide your dreams, when you make yourself small, when you let them control your life. But she doesn't have to do that anymore. She doesn't want to do that anymore. A calm smile spreads across her face. She stands up, walks to the window, and lets the sunlight touch her shoulders. She feels a quiet power inside her, a feeling she hasn't felt in years. Freedom, peace, strength. She picks up her keys and opens the door to step outside. The hallway smells faintly of paint and new beginnings. Every step she takes feels lighter, like she's shedding the weight of the past. She walks into her new apartment, letting the sunlight pour in, filling every corner of the small space. For the first time in her life, Lena feels at home, not because of a building but because of herself. She doesn't need anyone to validate her worth. She doesn't need anyone to approve her dreams. She only needs to live them. Some families may try to hold you down. Some people may try to make you feel small. But Lena Turner knows she won't shrink anymore. She closes the door behind her, breathes in deeply and smiles. Today is the start of a life built on her own terms. Today she finally wins. Hey friends! Thanks for sticking around till the end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.